Welcome to the No Sports Report, a production of iHeartRadio and Treefort Media. Small note, this episode was recorded prior to the murder of George Floyd and the resulting global reaction and protests, which is the only reason it's not mentioned. Something to keep in mind while listening. My name is Jensen Karp, and I'm a sports fan. And I'm happy to hear the NBA is back, but I've been staring at the plan now for about 2 hours, and none of it makes sense. 22 teams all at Disney World, basketball happening all day long, teams playing multiple times a day, 8 regular season games, then a playoff. Dallas might make it, they might not. Space Mountain might be open for the kids, Epcot won't be. Can the Magic play just so Orlando makes sense? Have any players seen the Florida Project? I'm filled with questions, which is good because I can get answers as I continue to talk to athletes and sports industry professionals about what they're doing right now, hoping to figure out if they miss competing as much as I miss watching it. This is the No Sports Report. The Toddfather, Todd Frazier, is a Major League Baseball sweetheart, and not just for his upbeat, positive attitude and willingness to talk to press, but also because he hits dingers. He was an all-star in both 2014 and 2015, and won the Home Run Derby in 15 as a Cincinnati Red in his home stadium. He's since played for the White Sox, where he hit 40 home runs, and then made stops on both of his native teams as a born New Yorker with the Yankees and the Mets. But he just signed on to join the Texas Rangers for the 2020 season, even if he's still weary about how that'll come together. On this episode, we talk about his past as a Little League World Series superstar, our shared love for Dan Marley, and his reasonable price on Cameo. We're taking this one past the warning track with Todd Frazier on the No Sports Report.
Call from
Todd Frazier.
To accept, press 1.
Hello, Todd.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing okay. I'm surviving. I want to know if you are and where you're quarantined and with who right now.
Yeah, I'm in Toms River, New Jersey with my 3 kids, Blake, Kylie, and Grant, and my wife, and we're just chilling out in this warm weather today, man. Having a good time.
Okay, 3 kids. What ages are we looking at?
Blake is 6, Kylie is 4, and Grant is a year and a half old.
Okay. That's an intense run. What is that like in the house at 24 hours a day?
You know, the 4 and 6-year-olds are mostly good. You know, they'll have their meltdowns, but the 1.5-year-old, man, because the 2 older ones have been around with baseball and been from town to town and been out, and they don't mind sleeping anywhere. But now I feel like my youngest is not getting that responsibility or, you know, distance from home. So it's a little harder. When we try and do something, you know, he makes it a little tougher. So we miss having the babysitter at home here helping us out, but we're making do, and we're having a blast. We're making some stuff up, having a good time, and like I said, once the weather gets warm like this, we can get outside more and enjoy it. School's almost over, so school's over on the 12th, and we'll go from there.
And how have you been keeping them busy outside of homeschooling? What are you guys doing to keep them at least on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, we have some cool things on the weekend. We have movie night on Fridays, sleepover night on Saturdays. So it's kind of unique what we do. Me and my wife, we switch every couple of days homeschooling while the other one takes care of the youngest. But, you know, a lot of board games, hide and go seek stuff. And, you know, we challenge each other every night. And I'm not a big guy letting my kids win. You know, I want them to try their hardest and let them know that, you know, it's not all about winning. You got to be a good loser as well. So, you know, one of those things, not everybody gets a trophy. So whatever it's a board game or we're playing ping pong or whatever it is, you know, I'm trying to learn them at a young age to figure it out for themselves too.
Sure. And speaking of competitive natures, how have you been able to stay in shape during this downtime?
Yeah, for me, I work out every other day. I literally just got done with a workout now. I worked out perfect. I try and hit 2 times a week and get outside as much as I can. When the weather's good in Jersey, you never know what you're going to get. So days like this, I'll probably hit tomorrow morning, and, you know, I got a couple guys who'll throw me live pitching to get prepared, take some ground balls, and away we go.
Because you live near your brothers who are also were and are baseball players, so you're able to sort of throw with them, yes?
Yeah, so my older brother, Charlie, who I pretty much hit with for the 2 times a week, yes, definitely.
That's great. It's very lucky. I know you're a big sports guy in general, you especially basketball. I know you caught The Last Dance. How much do you miss the NBA playoffs? For me, it's been the hardest part of no sports right now.
Honestly, to be honest, I'm more of a college guy. I used to love watching the NBA back when Jordan, you know, when I was 10, 11, 12, 15 years old. Mm-hmm. I was a big Jordan, but big Charles Barkley fan. You know, the Knicks of the old age in the 90s with Starks, Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, to name a few. I love those games, that competitive nature. I watch the NBA, championship, don't get me wrong, but I'm a big college basketball fan, a big Syracuse basketball fan, and Jim Boeheim's one of my good friends, and I love watching those teams.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the same vein, having no March Madness, having no tourney has been basketball in general. I feel like I'm going through withdrawals.
Devastating. Honestly, it's devastating because March is one of my favorite months of the year besides Christmas, and that's the time you get to fill out your brackets and talk some smack, and hopefully your team moves on. But, it is what it is. We got something bigger than what we can control right now, so there's always next year, as they say.
And I speaking of talking smack, I was proud to see you online, making sure there was no Dan Marley slander on Twitter. Why are people sleeping on Thunder Dan?
Listen, people don't understand. He was a beast. I mean, I was a big – wherever Charles Barkley went, that was the team I was a fan of. And, when he went to the Phoenix Suns, the next thing you know, I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. So Thunder Dan, I mean, he had a great restaurant out there in Arizona too as well, Marley's. But, people like to sleep on guys like that because they don't get talked about much, and they feel like back in the day, if you weren't Michael Jordan, you weren't good. But, Jordan played against some of the top dogs that we're ever going to see play this game. And, that old debate with him and LeBron, and I just don't understand how people can say Jordan wasn't the best over LeBron James. I mean, let's go on just defensive stats alone. I mean, let's not forget about offense. The guys are like 9 or 10-time defensive player of the year, which people forget. They know he averaged like 40, 50 points a game, but I feel like some of these guys back in the day would eat up some of the guys definitely that are playing now.
Why Barkley? What spoke to you from Charles Barkley?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I kind of mimicked my game after him. He wasn't the biggest guy, but I had to play down low as well at a young age because I was either the tallest kid on the team, or I felt like I was the mountain around to rebound every time I went in there. I kind of wanted to get all the rebounds, and he was a guy that he wasn't the biggest, but I love looking up to a guy like that, and that was basically it.
Well, you talked about your childhood. You first entered the sports world as a preteen, as a star on the 1998 Toms River Little League Championship team. Now in 2020, because of the pandemic, the Little League World Series has been canceled along with the regional tourneys. How devastating is that for you to hear, of all people?
Very devastating. I feel bad for these kids because I remember when I was 9 years old, my brother Jeff went in 95. I said, in 3 years, guys, this is going to be us. And, I had two of my buddies there who we knew were going to be on the team. It was the biggest dream I wanted to do in 3 years was to play in Williamsport. And at the end of the day, if it didn't happen, I think I'd be very, very upset. And, I wouldn't know how to handle it. So I wish them the best, and I hope they understand it was tough times, but, things do happen.
Yeah, and how much did that experience shape you as a player, but even more as a man? Are you still in touch with those dudes? I just see it's such a large part of your origin story.
I talked to probably 3 of the guys for sure over the years, and talk about baseball and what they're doing. Everybody's pretty much scattered around, but yeah, we do keep in touch, and every 5 years we try and have something together, and now we can have a few root beers here too as well now because we're over the age. So we try and get together, hit a bar up or a restaurant, and have a good time.
2020 was to be your first season with the Texas Rangers. Obviously, spring training was cut short. Does that hinder the team chemistry you were hoping to build on a new team?
No, honestly, I thought our team chemistry was awesome. I was there for a little over a month. Everybody seemed to bond well. We got a good veteran core, with myself included. We got a lot of good younger guys that want to learn. I mean, they want to literally sit down and pick your brain, like Joey Gallo, Willie Calhoun, Nick Solik. We got guys that want to learn and want to be the best. So for me, I fit in real well. My personality was there, and I'm pretty excited once we do start to see how the season kicks off.
Are you guys doing anything to sort of keep that going during the break? Are you keeping in touch?
Yeah, we have some video calls that we do. We email each other. We have an email pretty much every day to go over some scouting reports and stuff like that. Our manager texts us all the time, and like that, just some funny banter back and forth. Play some video games. Had a video game challenge. I didn't play because I got the 3 kids and I don't play those games. But it's fun to talk some smack and to keep the camaraderie going.
Yeah, it's better to not play against your teammates. Joey Gallo has proven he is a beast at the show. You do not want to play him.
He's unbelievable. I mean, I think he's in an apartment by himself down in Texas, so he's got nothing else to do besides work out and get on that video screen.
With all the rumors of an adjusted season looming, there does appear to be two player camps emerging. You appear to be on the more popular side. I saw that you retweeted Max Scherzer's recent tweet regarding pay cuts. Where do you stand today about getting back on the field without a vaccine or a cure or sort of like a real, I guess, an offer to the players union that, quote, makes sense really?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's we got to think about our health. When I think about playing again, the biggest thing for me is I think about my three kids. Say we start playing and we go through something like this 2 weeks later, we think we made a huge mistake. My wife's not going to let me live at home at least for 2 weeks.
Right,
so,
right.
Is there a plan for me to live somewhere else? Do I got to fork up some money? There's all different types of questions that have to go into this whole process. And, people talk about money. Yeah, that comes into it, of course. But there's principle that we have to go by. And it's one of those things where we have a bunch of guys that all have different opinions and a bunch of owners that have different opinions. And we have to figure out a way to come together, not only just for, us players, but for the owners too. It's very difficult times. And I think both sides have to come together and, figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as someone who's just a sports fan and keeps the health of you guys in mind, it's like the one that scares me the most is it doesn't sound like there's any proposition for if a team has an outbreak. And for you being in New York, at least New Jersey and New York City, you've seen, the hot spots, like something has to be in place.
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to do if, say, we're playing Seattle and somebody gets it on our team? Say, I get it. Mm-hmm. Am I going to have to be stuck in a hotel in Seattle for 2 weeks?
Right.
Examples like that where I feel like we're on the right track. I feel like we really are, with getting, tested every day, staying 6 feet apart. I know they already got things set in place for the locker rooms and stuff like that. So we're on the right path. I still think it's going to take a little time, but, the faster we work, I think the better we'll be. Timestamps are tough because when you tell somebody, like, I'm getting something worked on in the backyard, the guy said it's going to be done by October. If it's not done by October, I'm going to be a little ticked off. So that's why I'm not a big believer in putting timestamps on things. I'm a big believer in getting it done and then figuring it out. So we'll see what happens.
Are you guys being tested now regularly, or that's something they want to start once the season starts rolling?
I think it's once the season starts rolling.
Okay.
So, I haven't been tested, but, they had something where they gave out 7,000 or 8,000 to staff, workers, and players, too, that thought they needed it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a necessity, and that was about it. But I know, from what I'm hearing, there'll be millions on millions and millions of tests that we're going to have, and we could be okay with that every day.
Did you ever think, you're a big sports guy like me, grew up watching it, obviously, you playing it a lot better than me, at least. Did you ever think people would look to sports like this? It does seem like people are like, are we okay? Okay, is sports coming back? It's almost like the second question.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because my wife, could care less about watching sports on TV, and I'm a big guru about watching it on TV. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe in it. I think sports brings people together. It's something to talk about. Being a fan of a sport is big time. You think about basically what goes into being a fan, a diehard fan, especially, when I played in New York, there are some diehard New York fans out there. And if they don't get their fix in sports, man, they feel like the day's lost. So, yeah, I definitely believe in it. And, we're definitely missing. I think bringing sports together and having teams out there is a positive. And I feel like, hey, if they can play sports, the world's going to be better. And that's just, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, and you spoke about New York a bit. You grew up in New Jersey, idolizing New York baseball. Like I spoke with Adam Ottavino recently, and I think both of you guys have lived out crazy childhood dreams very similarly, but you took it one step further. You not only played for the Yankees like Adam, you also played for the Mets. That's like if I did a song with Run DMC and Beastie Boys, dreams coming true. How big of a deal was that for you and your family?
Very, very important. But I'll be honest. I never really thought I would play for any New York team, especially when you get drafted. You really think that's the only team you're going to play for with the Cincinnati Reds. But then getting traded to the Yankees, I got a monster ton of guys that are, probably 80% of my friends are Yankee fans and that 20% are Mets fans. So, I felt on top of the world, to be honest with you. I got both jerseys hanging in my man cave. I couldn't be happier. I've been blessed along this great road of baseball, and those are probably the toppings on the cake besides winning the World Series.
without sports in your life right now, how do you feel you're getting your fix? Like even just as a fan, because so many people that I've talked to on this show are at their core more than just a player; they're a fan.
For me, a couple things. I like to watch on TV the old games. I'm trying to, stay ahead of the game. I just got a system put in called Win Reality, which you can basically, it's a virtual reality. You get to watch, or you get to pretend you're in a batter's box, put goggles on, and you get to face against any pitcher you want.
What?
So, whatever team we play first, I get to see all the pitchers, see the spin on their ball, and, get my timing down. It's really awesome. Me and my son and I use it all the time. And, we go outside and play. I pitch to my son all the time and try and get his focus on baseball too.
So it's basically like a virtual reality video game, but they have footage of every pitcher in the majors throwing and with their pitches and everything?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So you're in a Major League Stadium, and say you want to face Noah Syndergaard today. He has the long hair. All his antics are in there, whether he keeps his arm up or down. And it's like facing a real live Major League pitcher with the same speeds. And, it's big for timing. It's big for seeing the spin on rotation on balls. And I know pitchers aren't happy about it right now, but, mostly all the teams are coming together and getting it. And I got my own at home, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I feel weird that I was stuck with baseball stars my whole life now. I feel like Nintendo did me wrong.
Yes.
You brought up some players not being happy with an unfair advantage. I wanted to know, you now share a state with them, wondering if you think the break, that this stoppage in work, is helping the Astros, or is it hurting them? Are people forgetting what happened? Do you think this is going to be a break for them?
Yeah, I feel like they're going to get off scot-free, if you want the truth, because I was talking with Suzanne Waldman, and, there's going to be no fans in the stands to yell at them. Guys, they test positive for steroids. All of a sudden, they get crushed there in the stadium, which is well-deserved. And they're basically getting away with it scotch-free. Nobody got suspended. And they're not going to feel any pain from any fans, yelling or screaming at them. So people are saying, they're probably saying, just let everything go. We made a mistake, but, some things you just can never let go. And, that's something that I had a chance to win a World Series or make it to a World Series and never did because the team cheated. So it still lingers.
Yeah, I do think there is a part of me that wonders, because just recently they've started to pop up more on social media and they're being a little more vocal. And I've seen, kind of the Astros have been gone for a long time. And I think now that they know no fans are going to be around, they're not that they're being chippy, but they're being a lot more out in public.
Yeah, people say time has a presence to heal all wounds, and I believe that thoroughly. But when we start playing, there's some things that people aren't going to forget, and that's something I won't for sure.
Todd, as someone who's played in the World Series, could you ever imagine, sort of going through with that big of an event in your life without any fans in the audience?
Yeah, I mean, listen, how do you celebrate? Do you put masks on and jump up and down 6 feet apart? Yeah, I don't know what would happen, but I'll tell you right now, I'll take that ring any day of the week, whether we play 60 games or 120 games. I'm all for it. You just have to celebrate in different ways and spray champagne from 6 feet apart. So I'm all for it. That's the exciting part of it. You never know what can happen this year. And, it's one of those years where you just can't expect anything. Just be ready.
After this, more with the Toddfather himself. Right now, Feeding America is working tirelessly to ensure our most vulnerable populations, like students who are out of school, the elderly, individuals whose jobs are impacted, and low-income families, continue to have access to food and other needed resources during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Feeding America Food Bank Network is committed to serving communities and people facing hunger in America, and their greatest need is donations and support of local food banks. This podcast is committed to donating a portion of the proceeds from the show to Feeding America, and we hope that you can join us in this effort too. Find out how you can help at feedingamerica.org/COVID-19. Now, here's the rest of my chat with All-Star third baseman Todd Frazier. Like I said, this will be a new team for you this season. It's a one-year deal for you. From a business standpoint, if you're looking at it from your contract, with the season having so many odd variables, does it scare you to go out there and prove yourself to a city and a team? There's no fans. There's a shortened season. You hear about these weird divisional mix-ups. Like, does that freak you out a bit?
No, not really. I'm a guy that goes with the flow. Are there concerns? Yeah. but you got to take what you can take sometimes. And just, like I said, that's why we're preparing right now. We're all professionals. There's a lot of guys that are worried about that. And that's why we go back to the underlying questions that have to be made. What's going to happen if somebody gets injured? If they go on the 15-day DL, they're missing, now they're missing a fourth of the season. So basically, we have a lot of adjustments that got to be made. I'm going to go out there and play to the best of my abilities because I want to still play for 2, 3, 4 more years and play as long as I can. And, we go from there. But I'm trying not to think about that once the season does start.
Well, you had a great escalated season last year, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Thank you.
In 2020. I do want to ask, we sort of end everything with positive and then something real stupid, but the positive part, is there anything you think we've taken on during this pandemic that you believe we should keep even when this thing is over and done? Something that we've adapted to?
Maybe a couple things. For me, I think, if we're getting away from sports, I think wearing a mask to go into places, I think is something I think we should keep. I think that can only help and keep America safe and healthier.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a lot of people. I said, listen, once this is all over, we can't take anything for granted. And, whether that's taking 5 more minutes out of your day, your son says, hey, man, Dad, stay with me for 5 more minutes before I go to bed. You know what? Do it. Because, people are losing lives. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and, whether it's practice, whether it's school, give everything you got and, have as much fun, but still take the added time that whatever you need and make sure you do it to the best of your abilities, because if something like this happens again and you didn't take advantage of what you were doing, before and now you're doing it now, it's going to be a tragedy. So take advantage of what you can, go the extra mile, and enjoy life to the fullest.
Well said. I usually have these suggestions I give people for pandemic, but during quarantine, you did something that a lot of athletes have done, and that's turn to Cameo to pass the time, creating these personalized messages for fans, mostly celebrating something. You're very good at it. You are what I call a bargain at a going rate at $70 for Todd Frazier. So I want to play a game with you that's called Higher or Lower. I'm going to mention a celebrity that is currently on Cameo, and you have to tell me if you think they are lower or higher than your current rate.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, we're going to start with an easy one. This is Super Bowl champion Green Bay Packers quarterback Brett Favre.
I'm going to say Brett Favre is higher.
He is higher. That is $300. That is quite an investment. It is a lot, but he does respond within 5 days, which I thought was kind of surprising for Brett Favre.
Yes, good for him.
Okay, here we go. Tay Zonday. This is the kid who sang Chocolate Rain on YouTube and went viral.
I'm going to say he's under $70.
He is under $70. He is $40. So you're 2 for 2 already. Tay Zonday has a bit of a lower number. He's not as impressive as you in his samples, though, so that's good.
Yeah, there's some guys on there, not to pick on him, but guys that just, I feel like they're reading off a script. You got to come from the heart, man, or don't do it at all,
I agree. Let's go to musician, former NSYNC member Lance Bass. Now, keep in mind, this is not Justin Timberlake. This isn't even J.C. Chazé. This is Lance Bass. Is he higher or lower?
I feel like he's really close to me. Don't ask me why. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say he's around, I'm going to say he's around $75, $80. I'll go a little bit over.
Well, I agree with you. He should be that, but he is at $249.
Where do you get the 49 from? But that's
a great question. He thinks seeing 250 is too much, I guess. All right, next one is a character actor named Larry Thomas, who you as a New Yorker will know very well. He played Soup Nazi on Seinfeld. Is he higher or lower than you?
Yes. I'm going to say he's lower because Seinfeld's been over for a while.
Well, you would be wrong. He's $80.
Oh, man. You know what? I got to move my price up, man. That's it. After this conversation, I'm going up to like $105.30.
Well, there's no soup for you. All right. Last, I got a couple more, actually. This one is Doug E. Fresh, the rapper, the entertainer, the show.
Doug E. Fresh.
He's great.
Yeah. He's got to be under $70.
Very little under. He's $62, so he's $8 below you. Again, where does he come up with 62?
I mean, listen, I don't know. It's confusing, but hey, maybe it adds up to something else that he needs.
All right, if he beatboxes, I think that is a good deal. All right, moving on. Dr. Sandra Lee. This is someone we know as the Pimple Popper. She's on YouTube as well as TLC.
I love it.
Okay.
I love that show.
She higher or lower than you?
I'm going to say she's higher just because of the show.
$200. She's more than double you.
Oh, Man, I wonder how many she's gotten so far. And you know, people pay that price. I just don't know if I can ever go that high.
I can't imagine that I would even buy it if I wasn't able to see actual pimples being popped.
There you go. That makes sense.
Lastly, this is Selfie Kid. I don't know if you remember him. He was from the 2018 Super Bowl. He took a selfie with Justin Timberlake, who's come up twice during this game, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's all he's known for. Selfie Kid, higher or lower than you?
I just got a feeling it's like way too high. But listen, I'm gonna say he's at like $40.
He is lower than you, and he is $15.
$15. Good for, you know what? I respect him. I respect that. Good for him.
He's keeping it logical. He's not quite Lance Bass about things. But I appreciate you talking to me and playing with me today. And please stay safe with your kids. And I'm hoping to see you guys out on the field, but I'm also hoping that it's a situation that makes the most sense for you.
I appreciate that, big man. Nice talking to you too.
The No Sports Report is produced and distributed by Treefort Media. The show is executive produced by Kelly Garner, Lisa Ammerman, Matthew Kugler, and me, Jensen Karp. Tom Monahan is our senior audio engineer and sound supervisor, with production and editing by Jasper Leak. Additional production help from Tim Schauer, June Rosen, and Haley Mandelberg. Our theme music is composed by Spilkus. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, please subscribe, rate us, and review us on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please visit feedingamerica.org. If you're able to make a donation, any amount makes a difference, and you can learn more about other ways you can help on their website. For more information on the No Sports Report, links to the socials, and for show transcripts for our hearing impaired listeners, go to treefort.fm. Be safe and be well. The No Sports Report is a production of iHeartRadio and Treefort Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.